Should you have a site reliability engineer on staff? Join me and my guest Robin Schumacher of Netdata as we explore this critical role on this episode of Between Two Servers. Welcome to Between Two Servers, the video series designed specifically for IT leaders. I'm Don Pezet, and we know your time is valuable and in short supply, so let's get right to it with my guest today, Robin Schumacher. Robin is the Vice President of Product at Netdata. Organizations trust Netdata for infrastructure monitoring and performance troubleshooting. My first question, Robin, is what is the business case for the site reliability engineer role in an organization?
Yeah, sure. So actually SREs have been around for quite a while. I was doing SRE work decades ago, but now it's a tried and true profession. And the business case is pretty easy. So you're looking to, by hiring one, increase the productivity of your existing staff because an SRE is going to remove the tedious, repetitive monitoring tasks that you go through. And at the same time, you're looking to reduce the likelihood of problems in your infrastructure. And you do that through the automation, the elimination of human error that the SRE brings. And lastly, from a business standpoint, you're looking to reduce the need for additional headcount, which can be really expensive and in today's time, really, really hard to find. So those three things make it pretty easy to hire an SRE.
Now, I'm curious about how we measure reliability. That, in the past, systems were pretty simple. Take a website, for example. Either the web server was up or it was down, and so uptime was an easy way to measure that. But web applications are a lot more complex these days, and we may have scenarios where the website is down, but the mobile app still works. So what is the metric? Like, how do you measure reliability?
Yeah, so there's two things you're looking at. First, we've really changed from the world of high availability to continuous availability, meaning that systems have to be available around the clock 24/7 by 365. And if you're not, then you're going to be losing money. So financial applications, things like that, they could be losing tens of millions of dollars per minute if they're down. But the thing is, performance affects your reliability in a sense in terms of users being able to accomplish their tasks. So if your system's slow, you might as well be down. I think it's stats that have said that typically a user will wait maybe 10, 15 seconds and they'll bounce to a different site if they're unable to actually achieve their tasks through the website or whatever else. So reliability these days not only is about uptime, but it's also about maintaining uniform performance, and that can be pretty tough.
All right, so let's say that I just got hired on somewhere as an SRE. What do my day-to-day responsibilities look like?
Yeah, the split in your workload is going to depend on where you're hired, but in general, about 50-70% of your time is going to be your typical operations work. So it's going to be troubleshooting, it's going to be problem resolution, it's going to be maintaining the service level agreements that you've been given to achieve. But the other percentage of your time, and that could be anywhere again from 50, maybe 30% of your time, is going to be crafting automation routines through either your own development languages, scripting languages, the integration between tools, things like that, that are going to automate the monitoring of the systems, the troubleshooting of the systems, and hopefully the actual automation of problem resolution where a human being doesn't actually have to step in and fix a problem. The system's going to do it themselves. And that's really where the gold of an SRE is proven.
All right, now let's fast forward a year and we get to employee annual review time. I sit down with my manager and it's their job to evaluate my performance over the years. So how do you measure the performance of an SRE? How do you know they've been effective or doing a good job? Because I imagine uptime or whatever our metric is doesn't directly apply to the employee as well, right?
Yeah, so they're going to be measured as a typical operations person will be. So that means customer satisfaction. That means how many tickets and things like that have you closed, those type of normal metrics. But then you will be looking at whatever SLAs have been given for availability and performance. And availability, like we've talked about, is uptime, but it's more than that. And depending on where you work, there's different ways to measure how well you're doing in the performance area. Like for example, there's the I think it's called the 4 golden signals or the rules or whatever that talk about how well you're doing in the areas of latency, which is, are my systems waiting? The areas of workload analysis, which combines, say, traffic and saturation, who's hogging the most resources on my system, or people taking resources away from applications that are really struggling, and then just error management. How many errors are applications or the infrastructure themselves signaling, and how quickly are those being resolved? I think those are the key things that an SRE is going to be evaluated on.
All right, now at a high level, you mentioned an SRE is going to be responsible for trying to automate some of these processes. So I imagine there's various tools and things they use on a regular basis. What are some of the tools that you typically see SREs using?
So you're going to start out with a very generic and kind of non-sexy, if you will, project management tools. And so that could be anything from Microsoft Project to GitHub, to depending on how or the tools that the place is using. But it's going to be ways to track progress, track trouble tickets and things like that as they come in. And there's a wide variety of vendors that do that type of thing. But then when it comes to automation, you're going to be looking at the various development languages combined with the suite of monitoring tools that are out there, and some of those will be proprietary in nature, some will be open source in nature. And then lastly, you're looking at data integration tools. And so this is ways of taking certain pieces of information and funneling them across the infrastructure into various data lakes or pools or whatever that you might use for long-term analysis. So those are the three types of tools that an SRE is going to be in and out of every day.
Sadly, that's all the time we have. We try to keep these episodes short and to the point. You can find more details about Robin and myself in the YouTube description or in the LinkedIn post, so be sure to check that out. Thanks to my guest today, Robin Schumacher of Netdata. For now, I'm Don Pezet, and this was Between Two Servers.